Yes, there's a lot of responses, all of which are objections, and those responses include 3 petitions with quite a lot of separate names on them as well. So I think from a local, immediate kind of community response around there is completely against this, for a variety of reasons.
Yes, I think the fact that it just appeared was one of them. But I think that's always been the case around there. The parking is a real major issue for those people who live there. Any comments from anybody else before?
Well, whilst I'm not Jim and Danforth, I'm sure that people would. The main thing there was a parking issue, which is.
I don't know that there's any alleviation to the parking issue.
The comment there that they don't tend to park, they drop people off. They're juniors.
Well, that's
juniors. So it's like people dropping people off the dancing.
According to residents, they park across their driveways, they're abusive, and yes, we all know how that goes. I'm not sure that there's any solution to that other than
I think parking at the Prime or the pub, if they could make an agreement, that would be the only way you could see. But having said that, economically, running the club right now is not economically viable at all. Is there? It's going to be shut down if nothing is done with it. I think our middle ground, if we can recommend it, if everybody agrees, will be good. If the local community groups can still run their sessions in the times agreed and the rest of the time is a sports hall, would be a better agreement, because of course the locals are quite unhappy, but then we need to find a balance, because otherwise it'll be torn down.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. I think this shows the need for this building to be protected by the council, because if things like this are going to happen, this is the last building standing, is it not? Those are obviously my personal opinions, not the council's, they are my own opinion. I have to say that I do object to comments that have been made by one individual who points fingers at the council for allowing this to happen. The council had absolutely nothing to do with this, and we knew nothing about it. No, I'm sorry. About
the clerk.
Yes, comments about the clerk. The clerk is the clerk. He doesn't have any ability to start or interfere with anything of those natures, and I think that should be made very clear to the general public. And I take exception to the comments made by that individual. I think it was totally unnecessary. It may not be what we all want, however, it's happened and we have to deal with it. Personally, I would rather see it used than closed down, and I think there's a very great risk that it would be closed down if it wasn't used as a gymnasium. But I have every sympathy for those people who live around and about, and if there's some way that can be considered, some restriction on access, I don't know.
I think we even asked about resident parking on Southgate Drive. And yes. It's very difficult to.
It's expensive, isn't it?
Can I just interject here, because we've had the problem on Southgate Drive with the development of Cypress House, and one of the biggest issues with that was the lack of adequate parking spaces.
Yeah.
And when I asked about resident parking, which is very, very difficult to impose anyway, they said yes, they could do that, but the residents of Cypress House are also residents of Southgate Drive, so they couldn't stop them having parking spaces there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and at the moment that Southgate Drive is taken up Monday to Friday with cars from car showrooms anyway, which is another issue. So it's
I think
ongoing
it just
problem
serves
down
to
there.
underline the fact that there's just so many vehicles around these days. And
That's
we're
right.
just
But
chock-a-block.
as far as I'm aware, it's children and junior sessions. The children are dropped off, the parents don't stay. So it's like dropping off.
Just
at school.
literally dropping off and
Yeah.
picking up.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, did you have to say something?
Yeah, you said, Tom, you said, sorry, Councillor Smith, you said something about, you said something about a petition.
Yes,
Well,
there.
I thought the petition wasn't acceptable to a planning objection.
Petition is only one.
Yeah,
Isn't it?
Yeah.
so it doesn't
Matter how
matter
many people
how
sign.
many people
Okay.
sign that petition. It is only classed as one. So, I don't know how many people signed it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That would be classed as numerous objections, but that shouldn't happen because that's not how the planning works.
Remember, that's why we did for the governance. We had a document for each person to sign, those who weren't doing it online, sign with their.
No, I
postcode.
just wanted to make sure that that hadn't changed.
Okay.
Does anybody want to make any further comments about it?
Could we support it, but with comments about trying to incorporate some of the concerns that have been raised?
Can't we?
Is that
What
a,
sort of comments would you want to put on there?
well, if the parking is, I don't know, ultimately, I hadn't really thought that far ahead. I mean, if parking is the key concern of the immediate neighbours, which would make some sense, then could there be some markings or some kind of enforcement of reasonable, or some kind of dialogue that results in reasonable behaviour?
Possibly, if the people who are running this organisation were able to get a drop-off area in the Bullshead car park, which they could report to see if they could drop them off there, and
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Jim gets the use, they pay maybe pay a token amount. So somewhere secure to drop the kids off.
Can we put something like that into it? If
Yeah.
we. Okay. Anything else?
Can we-
You did say that, as objector, commented on the behaviour of our town park councillors. Can you put that in our whatever?
Yes, I think we should make
You got the job.
Yes, I think we should make a response to that.
I think we should, and I will.
Yeah.
Might draw attention to these problems with ground spell.
Councillor Moore, can I just also say in the comments, could we please say the reasons why we're voting for this is because it's not economically viable to run the centre as it is, just so the residents are aware why we're voting on it, and they're not upset. Well, they'd be upset with the council anyway, but they know exactly why we're doing this, to keep it going, to keep it running.
Okay, so
Point here about parking, because all those other
Moving on to 23028, which is to consider planning application 223031M, a variation of condition 2 of existing permission 182643, land south of Coppice Way, Hanforth. Anybody have any comments?
Chair, Vice Chair, can I suggest, can those two be linked?
Yeah. And we'll also consider planning application 222910M, variation of condition 2 on existing permission 150795M, which is the land south of Coppice Way, Hanforth. Any comments?
Again, I will go back, but I don't really understand what these variations are.
I found them very confusing, to be honest.
Any ideas, Ashley?
Beyond my scope, that drainage. And
Yeah.
where it drains to, and I'm not sure whether this would affect service water drainage
Right.
badly in the Hall Road area or not. I'm sorry.
And there's nobody in the members of the public.
No. Any comments?
Sorry?
Historically, drainage from that site has been quite a problem. They used to, the footpath across the escalator used to flood. The hall itself has been flooded on several occasions. Had to happen. And of course, the development is built on a watercourse. When we first moved into Hall Crescent and walked across there, it was quite evident that there was a sump where they're now laying foundations, which was full of water, had water running through it, and that led on to a similar sump right adjacent to the walls of the hall, which was full of water and had water flowing through it. So there's obviously a historical watercourse there, and I think they're wrestling with that kind of problem.
Okay.
Can I check? Are we able to affect this in any way by what we say?
I think if I'm being honest, on a personal level, I didn't understand it enough to feel that I can comment either way. I'm not going to lie, I was actually hoping that Roger would come in with a big spiel about it. When you Of course.
There is a very detailed letter from, I believe, a surveyor who lives close by, which deals with all the issues you've just spoken about.
Right.
And that letter has gone forward.
That is on the portal.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
So if it's on the portal there already,
Yeah.
do we need to try and gild that in any way?
Sorry, is that letter a letter because they're objecting to it, or is it part of the planning application submitted?
I think it's a concern about the changes that have been made.
On the drainage.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I read it as a full-on objection when I was reading it. But what kind of made me feel better was there has been a full consultation by the Highways, Manchester Airport, National England, and they all said supported, or they didn't find any objections to it from when I was reading it. So that was quite helpful, but I agree, it did go over my head as well, and I spent considerable amount of time trying to understand it, but that helped with whatever decision we may make today.
Okay. Anybody got any further comments?
Chair?
Yep. Of course.
It's my belief that all the surface water drainage from the factory site is going to enter the main surface water sewer in Hall Road, and therefore will go down into Spath Brook. On top of that, we are expecting all the surface water from the development of the Sunfield site to go directly into that same sewer in Hall Road and thereby down into Spath Brook. And that's going to increase the flow down in Spath Brook quite significantly. It always did flow down there, but of course at a more measured rate. Now, all the surface water is going to be directed into an enormous great sewer, and it will speed on its way down into Spath Brook. And I think people who live in Woodlands Road and in Bretton Road may have their gardens flooded as a result.
That's what the objection was from that members of public. That's exactly what he said in the letter.
Right. And I think the situation is going to be made even worse
Regards millage.
Can I just ask, what happens if you don't agree to the variation? We'll just carry on with the original
Oh,
conditions.
Well, if you look at objection in, depending on how the planning people are feeling with just read. And I have to say that with tongue in cheek. Yeah, we can find table objections.
Yeah, but it's a variation on an already
existing.
existing
I know, but we've already
Approved.
objected to.
condition, so.
I don't think we know enough to put together a technical objection, do we?
No.
Could we
I agree.
ask for some kind of further study to look into that
How long have we got on
runoff
this one, Ashley? Can you remember?
question?
Well, you won't have time.
Won't have time, right?
You either make no comment or say no objection, subject to satisfactory for the board. So by qualified professionals and not others.
But just
Yeah.
listening to Dr. Small, it's going to flood, and if you don't put an objection in, I know you're not saying you're not technically able, but you know, you just explain where the water's going to come from, and if it floods now, and the garden village hasn't even started to be built.
I'm not suggesting we should support it. I think actually putting in a technical objection would be very difficult, considering none of us have the knowledge to do that. I think whatever allows us to make that comment about the runoff
So could we
would be
perhaps
worth doing.
say we were objecting in support of the new, the fact that we've got residents. I mean, the residents know what, you know if your house floods, don't you? And that's exactly why I was hoping that you would have come along with it, which you now have done, which we're, very grateful for, rather than us going down the technical route.
Can I
Of course.
Ashley, can we?
Grounds for flooding events is provided by residents.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. As long as all mitigating measures are being taken to ensure that residents are not flooded on a continuous basis.
Fundamentally, there's nowhere else for the surface water from that area to go other than that brook. And they may have found problems with drainage already. I noticed the other day that they were pumping out plantations which they dug just a few days ago. But then, of course, we've had heavy rain.
Given that we're not technically good enough, that we don't understand it, don't know what the variation is, can we just say that that no comment, except we want to ensure that residents are being recognised and any measures, any mitigating measures are being taken
Do you want
to reduce the level of flooding that might occur.
Do you want to propose that? Oh, sorry, one more comment.
It's like concern tonight of what we're saying. I'm concerned that they don't want to do it actually because they've done a land drain for the new development. I've got the one starting, which is flooding still. The land drain to a culvert, which is blocked, and has been blocked for many years. And I didn't realise that. That's a big concern.
We neither object nor support.
Yeah.
But we'll base it around evidence provided by residents and you take all mitigating measures to avoid any.
Yeah. Is anyone want to propose that? Okay. Do I have a seconder? And all those in favour? Thank you very much.
One thing I wondered why in the comments there was when it said neighbours contacted Pickmere Road and Tilston Wall. Which couldn't work that one out. That's going to be a hell of a flood then if it's going to get Tilston Wall.
minutes, but I sent an email to everybody about the 20-mile-an-hour speed limit being imposed and the fact that it is enforceable by the police. So,
Yes, sir, so you proposed, a second, please?
yeah.
Thank you. Those in favour?
Wasn't here.
Item 23035, receive a report from the PCSO.
Okay.
Might notice it up here. Go this way.
Yeah. We've had 2 attempted burglaries in January. The surrounding areas of Handforth were badly affected by burglaries in December, but extra targeted patrolling in historically affected areas in Handforth seems to have deterred any incidents. Regarding the youth committing antisocial behaviour in the village, all of those involved that we have dealt with have had parents notified about what's been happening. We have had most of the ringleaders in for antisocial behaviour discussions. This is the beginning of the process for criminal behaviour orders. These orders have replaced ASBOs. We still have no update on when and what speed charming measures will be implemented on the A555 and A34. Yeah, charming. But as soon as I know, you'll know. On a whole, our season crime was very low. Shoplifting, burglaries, and public order offences linked to the nighttime economy. PC Robotham and myself are currently developing several pieces of information we have been given recently, and I hope to be able to report back on positive action we have taken on this at the next meeting.
Can I just make a comment on that, about this antisocial behaviour?
Yes.
I would very much, I know if it's happened, it hasn't been documented, but I would very much like to see those people who were involved in said antisocial behaviour go to the church and Costco and other places, Costa and Spa, and apologise along with their parents, because I think it's time that these people were embarrassed, I suppose, because they should be.
They're not ashamed though. They're not ashamed.
Well, they should be.
Yeah, but they're not, Sue.
And they should be made to go and apologise.
I want them, I've asked that they get thrown in the back of a police van and taken to Middlewich or wherever they get taken to, and the parents have to go and pick them up.
Yeah, right.
But because of the ages of them, and one in particular, it can't be done.
That's what makes it easy.
And this is the beginning of the process now that they've started the process for the criminal behaviour orders. And yeah, it is. I totally agree with you. Totally agree with you. No. No. But you there's nothing that you can do. I've been subjected to it. John and I, at a litter pick, we were subjected to it, and there's nothing that you can do because they're children. Well, yeah, it is. It is, and it's disgraceful that there's nothing that can be done to stop it yet. But the criminal behaviour orders apparently are a lot stricter than the antisocial behaviour orders. So watch this space.
In what way how are they different? Do we know?
I was going to ask Councillor Smith if the PCSO could come to the next meeting and tell us how they differ.
Yeah.
I'd like these individual banned from certain places.
They have been banned from certain places. Yeah, and I think they're on a restriction that they can't come into Handforth. Yeah.
Okay. Item 23.
Sorry, Chair. Just on that point, Councillor Smith, they actually banned from being in Handforth Centre, are they?
At certain, there are the restrictions on them. Yeah.
Can we have details of what the actual restrictions are in case they're seen in a handforth? Because if we know, if we advertise what the restrictions are, if anyone sees them, they should report it to police straight away,
Well,
not wait for anything bad to happen.
How do you do that without identifying them, and they can't be identified because of their ages?
I think enough people around the handful probably know who they are already to be able to advertise the restrictions without formally releasing their identity. Might be worth considering.
Well, as far as I'm aware, it's a ban on coming into the village. Total ban.
Okay, well, if Gareth could confirm that, that would be excellent. If I can ask him.
Yeah, that was the last information that I had anyway.
I'll ask him for
But
the
I do
details.
know it's an ongoing situation, and it is being dealt with rigorously.
Okay.
But
Thank you.
it's not something that you can fix overnight, unfortunately, because the law, as they say, is
23036 to approve and sign the order of payments for January 2023. Anyone have any comments?
no.
Proposal to accept. Thank you. And second. Thank you. All those in favour? Thank you. 23037 to agree to host another pantomime production as per earlier years in November/December 2023. Up to 2 performances of Cinderella up to a maximum value of 2,500. Is this the same
company? Yeah,
same ones?
Yeah.
Anyone have any comments?
Just like to propose it.
And I'd like to second it because it's an absolute joy to see the young children come and, for how much it costs them. They absolutely love it. And I'd be very heartbroken if we didn't support it.
Oh, no, you wouldn't.
I would.
The only thing I've got to say about it is, as I've said in previous years, it's too cheap. We saw it again this year with half the seats empty in some performances. Yeah.
Not in the performance I attended.
Well, there were a lot of empty seats. No, okay, and that's an exaggeration, half, but there were a lot of empty seats. A lot of people didn't bother coming.
Was that they purchase the tickets, and if they don't turn up, well, they don't turn up. But I think if we start putting it up for a family of 3 or 4 kids, it can become, a bit more, especially in this financial climate. I mean, let's just see how it goes in December of this year. But how many seats would you say, Ash?
We did have some no-shows in the second performance.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, it seemed to be a lot, didn't it?
Yeah, it was a lot.
I don't know.
Because the first performance was oversubscribed.
Yeah, I know.
There wasn't
crazy,
enough
isn't it?
chairs.
Well, from what I'd worked out, the second one was massively oversubscribed.
Yes.
That was what I was worried
because
about.
you had a waiting list for
Because
that.
So have people gone to the wrong?
I don't quite know what's happened, but everybody had the right tickets that they came to the door with. So
I was going to say, ask the ticket collectors.
There were some no-shows, but not masses, which is why it seemed weird that there wasn't enough people in there. Sort of thing. I completely agree with you.
We just need to give it some value because
I don't know.
Well, what about having serial numbers on the tickets, and that there will be a prize draw at the interval, cash prize draw. That'll have people coming in. A free cash prize draw, 25 quid. Yeah, I'll go in for that.
Yeah, no idea.
Got time to think about it, haven't you?
It's not a bad idea to make sure you get bums on seats. You're absolutely sure you don't have to no-show.
Because there were a lot of people who were disappointed as well because the tickets had been
gone,
taken and they couldn't get them, and that's the problem.
Because there was an awful lot.
Yeah.
wanted to come to the second
Yeah.
showing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And,
And I say no
have
to
a
them
list.
because,
Yeah. I know.
by this then, you're full, sort of
Yeah.
thing.
Can we go back to the actual motion? We do
Oh.
agree that
Yeah.
I've had it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Did you have a vote?
No, not yet. I do like the cash prize idea. If we think that, because I don't really want to put the ticket prices up, because that does disenfranchise
Yeah.
people, and you don't want to be seen as doing that, especially in the economic climate. But maybe do something like that with an individual number on each one. We do a cash prize and say £25.
And also they get the sweets and drink
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
interval,
we can afford
not
it.
at the beginning,
Sort of thing.
because the sugar rush was
Yeah.
in the interval, not.
Otherwise, there's a sugar rush.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Yeah.
all those in favour?
So you're
Yeah.
amending it to have a draw of the interval, the motion?
No, it's
No.
just that that'll be part of it.
Well,
It's
we
just
might
to
as well
agree
Yeah.
with Anthony.
finish that.
Oh, yeah.
So we know what we're saying
Yeah.
and we're doing, yeah. So, yeah.
All those-
All those in favour? Unanimous, thank you. Notes and correspondence. Documents come in. Those who are aware of the Nappy Break club. Sebastian, who's running the Nappy Breaks for ex-military and others. Those who perhaps suffering from anxiety or whatever it is, they're welcome to Ashley's group meeting and
Sebastian.
Sorry?
Sebastian.
No, that's the other meeting. Yes, Sebastian's meeting, and he's been in touch with Ashley. He's unable to attend the council meeting today, as he wanted to discuss because of childcare issues. He has a proposal to the council. He would like to hold a summer fair in August for the local community and raise money for Help for Heroes in the process. I think the intention is to have it
Here,
at the
youth
centre.
centre, outside,
Yes.
he was, yeah.
Yeah, which is useful because indoors when it's wet. You know.
Yeah.
I would appreciate if we could raise this the proposal this month so we can prepare any businesses attending for August bank holiday weekend. Let me know your thoughts. If you need anything else, can we ask Sebastian?
Do we have to vote on that?
No.
Okay.
We'll have to put it forward on the next meeting, because you just said this in.
Okay.
You've got that time to think about it. Would you like him to apply for a grant?
Yes,
Is that sort of
Yeah.
the best way to say for him to
I
go?
think so.
And I'll tell him the
Absolutely.
grant for, yes?
Yeah.
His last line on his email is the detail of it's 10 to 12 on Thursdays at the youth centre, and it's a comment there which is quite true. November is Suicide Awareness Month. If you or someone you know is struggling, please reach out. Do you have any comments on it?
Are we all happy that I just speak to him and say,
Yeah.
Yeah,
fill in the grant
100%.
form,
Yeah.
Yes.
submit it to the council,
Yeah.
we'll consider it at the next meeting. Yeah,
Yeah.
real sort of thing.
Good. Meeting closed.
No. I want to address two things, if you don't mind.
I don't mind.
One is to just update you on the website, and the other one is to address Mr. Small's query about the path in the woods. The S106 money has been released, I believe. I don't know how all this happens, but apparently somebody had the magic key. And the path should be completed before the end of the financial year. There is also some money within that S106 money for the children at the school to be involved in some putting up boxes, bird boxes and planting of bluebells and various things that Germans put on their list, which once we've got the path in place and all that's been done, I'm hopeful we'll carry on. It will be a project over many months, I suspect.
Well done. Yeah.
Witchcraft.
Yeah, well, she wields a big stick.
I'll down on the path when it really happens. And the other one was just to update you on the website, because I've done some initial research on it. So I'll just read out what I've put. because I just want you to be aware of what's going on. The existing website, this is only my opinion, is poor in terms of appearance, ease of use and content compared to most other council websites. It also appears to be at the middle to top end of pricing. There are a number of website design companies who specialise in council sites and can offer cost-effective solutions by offering a template, basically. And there are around 5 that I think warrant further investigation. As a positive, the current site has an unexpected high hit rate. Probably me going on there looking at it. Almost certainly down to the famous viral video, but not because of its quality, in my opinion. All the more reason to have an improved site to impart information of things of interest to its residents and others. It should be a go-to site. I'm not saying that the site is complete rubbish, it isn't. There's a lot of really good stuff there. I think it's just the layout of the stuff, and there's 1 or 2 things that are missing. But we need to have a clear idea of what needs to be on the site. In broad terms, for me, it needs to contain who we are, what we do, and information about the village, which could include groups, society events, and any news items. As important, it has to be presented in a really attractive and easy way to navigate, neither of which are offered by the current site. To be honest, when I go on there, and it may be because I suffer from vertigo, but when those pictures move across the site, it distracts me, and it really, I find it really hard. So I think there's things that can be done there. There's a lot of great information on there. I think it's just good presentation of it and things to add. So if we agree that the project is worth pursuing, I will progress and provide for the next council meeting information on suppliers, example sites and costings. In fact, I hope to get that to you before then, but we'll see. Better sites giving lots of ideas of presentation and content. If you would like to see an example of a very good website, a better website than ours, have a look at the council. It's but BURFOD, the council. I will provide you with some of those books. If you just have a look around, and believe me, I've looked at a lot. I think we can do a lot more with it. I think there's a lot more information that could be there and make it more informative for the residents.
Thank you.
Yes, please.
As you know, we're going to be celebrating the King's coronation, and our clerk has got an application form to give out to various people. And we as councillors promote it as much as we can, because the closing date is the end of March for those that wish to have a donation towards their event.
How many so far, actually?
How does it affect us with going into Purda on the 16th?
We've already passed a motion.
Yeah.
On the 16th, we're going to
We've
Purda.
already passed a motion. We passed a motion in December. Yeah,
Yeah.
passed a motion in December.
So we're okay.
Purda-wise. I can still hand out money to people.
Right,
okay.
okay.
Sort of thing. Yeah. But to be perfectly honest, passed the motion months ago, so it doesn't affect the
Right.
restrictions.
Okay.
How many so far?
4, I think.
Yeah.
Right.
4, yeah. I think 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4.
People we've already had one in the past.
Yeah, there's a couple from the past.
Yeah, the schools have applied.
One of the schools has applied already. A community group and a group of residents.
Yeah.
Definitely applied, yeah.
The youth club?
They
Youth
haven't-
club?
Yeah.
They haven't done it yet.
No, they haven't done it yet. Shall I?
Oh, it's in the process.
But you should all have the documentation you need to print it off from anybody. It's sent it all. If you always send it out again,
Yeah, that's great.
Those applications be discussed at the next meeting?
yes, I will be putting them on the next agenda. Yeah, they're only just sort of filtering through. So
These grants are for events which food is consumed. Is that correct? Exclusively.
You can do whatever you want with it.
It's like the Queen's Platinum Jubilee event,
So
which
it
were
doesn't-
very
it doesn't
successful.
have to be a social event where food is consumed. It can be,
Well,
Are you going to get there then?
Can't go there.
This is drinking
Maybe not from the Greek. Food at theirs was bloody awful.
Hey?
Food at the station do was bloody awful. All from the Greek bakery. So horrendously expensive.
Should we be having parties at a time when a lot of families are finding it very difficult to cope with the cost of living and so on?
Yeah, well, all
That's
the more
where
reason why we should have it.
Yes.
To
Something
give
to look forward
them
to.
a community, and we're not charging them. We had a brilliant street party for the
Yeah.
Queen's Jubilee,
So
and we got a lot of community together.
I went to
and
10.
they're still chatting now.
Roger, Councillor Smith and myself went round
10.
10 different events taking place over that weekend. 10 out of 10.
receive an award and use the award to, I don't know, feed a different subset of people.
What do you mean?
As long as you're celebrating the coronation.
Yeah.
That's the point.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you apply for a grant and you do that for your celebration. Yeah. That'd be great. That.
Everybody
I mean, we
to
gave
do something.